Yo, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, we'll be checking out the two new secret units that came with the Attack on Titan update in the 7.0 version of Anime Vanguards. So two new units came out that are secret. This is both Arin and Ymir. First thing that we're going to be doing compared to the gem banner unit showcase that I did is actually showing how to obtain both of these units. I will have timestamps down below, and also you should be able to see chapters on the video. So if you don't care about the obtainment methods and want to see the showcases, you can skip straight to them as well. So for Arin's obtainment method, there is the new Legend Stage Crystal Chapel, Act 3 and Act 4. That is how you obtain Arin, and you also obtain Arin's evolution materials from there. Okay, so obtaining Ymir, you do require having an evolved Arin and Zeke, and you need to go into the normal version of the boss rush. When you're in the normal version of the boss rush, you do need to max out a Arin and a Zeke and use Arin's rumbling ability. Upon using Arin's rumbling ability, you have a 5% chance to obtain Ymir. You do not need to beat the boss rush, you just need to use the rumbling ability in normal mode and you have a chance to obtain her. So once we have obtained Ymir, you do unlock her quest item, which you do need to complete to be able to get her evolution material. The first step is to sacrifice an evolved Zeke. Okay, so for the next step of the quest, we need to go ahead and beat the Hammer Giant, Reinforced Giant, and Nuclear Giant. All three of these bosses can be defeated in the story stage of Act 1, 2, and 6. After you have defeated those three bosses, the next step in the quest line is for Arin to go into Legend Act 3 and beat the boss 10 times. Arin does need to be the unit to last hit the boss as well. And for the final part of the quest line, you do require to sacrifice an evolved Arin to Ymir. So this does require needing an evolved Zeke and evolved Arin to be able to obtain Ymir's evolution. That is pretty much how to obtain Ymir. Okay, so now that we know how to obtain both of these secret units, let's get into the showcases. The first unit that we will be showcasing is actually Ymir, even though you do require an Arin to get her, and that is because there is a very big reason why that I am showcasing Ymir first. For this one, I'm not really going to do an individual showcase. What I'm going to be doing is using the Attack on Titan units because this is really how you do want to be using them. Let's get straight into showing her off individually first. We put on disable effects. Okay, so on placement, she is 2.4k and she has a 3 placement limit. To get to her second attack, it is 23k, her third attack is 59k, and her last attack is 119k. Looking at her passives, she has Originator, buffs all giant category allies. This is just Attack on Titan units on the field by 40% damage. This is nice because it is anywhere. It does not need to be within her range. For every ally that is a turned giant or giant category ally, this unit gains 5% damage and 2% range. Going on to the second passive, Flesh of the Queen. When this unit is sold or deleted, she removes an available placement for this unit and buffs all giant category allies by 100% damage and 30% range for 40 seconds. Pretty good like buff when it comes to killing bosses. And then her last passive is My Children. Whenever a giant category ally is placed down in this unit's range, she reduces their upgrade costs by 10%. So as we can see, her upgrade, or to max her out, is 119k. If I were to place down another Ymir right now, this will now lower to 107k. Okay, so going over her attacks, her first attack is basically summoning the Attack Titan to run in. I do have a second one down. Let me disable that one. It is a small AoE. Her second attack is Reinforced Giant. This is just the Armored Titan charging through in a line. Going to the third attack, it is the Beast Giant, or the Beast Titan, I mean. This is a cone attack, throwing rocks, of course. And then finally, we are at Nuclear Giant. This is the Colossal Titan slamming down in a full AoE. So she is at 70k damage right now because I do have another Ymir placed down. And then be able to give her a higher buff, we can go ahead and basically place down an Arin because he does have a passive to buff as well. So now she has gone up to 87k. And then if I were to go ahead and place down Zeke, we now are up to 2.45 times damage. So now she's at 118k. And then I will sell this Ymir and she'll go up to 3.45 times damage for 167k damage. Pretty good range as well, full AoE. This is traitless as well. So let me quickly showcase what she is like with the monarch damage. Okay, going over her monarch damage real quick. On placement, she is at 43k. Going all the way up to her max upgrade, she's at 271k. We then place down a Arin for that 30% buff there, and then we place down a Zeke for a 60% buff, and she can get to around 464 4,000 damage, which is not too bad at all. Alright, so that was the Ymir showcase. Now on to Arin. Firstly, Arin is a 3 placement. He has a 3.2k to cost. Place him down, so we'll go ahead and do that. This is a shiny Arin as well, by the way, so this is a different Titan model than his normal, which I'll put up on screen right now. So looking at his costs right now, he costs 17k to get to his second attack, his third attack is 62k, his last attack is 140k, and his final upgrade is 119k total to get to. If we were to place down a Ymir, we do lower that cost by 10%, so now it is 171k. We will go ahead and start upgrading him. So he is a small AoE on first grade or first attack. Second attack, it goes to a slightly larger circle. Third attack, it turns into a cone, and then his last attack, it goes to hammer drop, and this is a full AoE. Pretty nice. And then lastly, at his max upgrade, he is at 81k damage with a 2.4 times damage multiplier right now. I just quickly restarted the match so we can look at his base damage. 33.9k damage. Not the craziest, honestly, being traitless, but he does have some cool things with his passive. So he unlocks his ability Rumbling. We'll look at that very soon. Let's look at his passive first. He has a message to the future. This unit cannot be sold. Whenever a new placement of this unit is placed, it becomes the same upgrade as the highest existing placement on the field. With this first passive, it's referring to other placed Arins first. If I have a placed like Zeke or Ymir down at max upgrade and then go ahead and place Arin down, he will be at upgrade 1. But if I now place down another Arin right now, he will be at max upgrade because this existing upgrade or this existing Arin on the field is at max upgrade as well. Going onto his second passive, it is Bringer of Peace. Buffs all giant category allies, excluding this unit, in range by 30% damage and 20% range for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes has passed, buffs own placements of self by 100% damage and 20% range and stops buffing allies. And then his last passive is Harbinger of Doom. Whenever this unit is placed, he does damage in its area equal to 500% of the damage stat, so that 33.9k damage. If I were to go ahead and place a Vegeta on the field right now, boom, and then I place down an Arin, as you can see, he nukes the boss when you place him down. So 33k damage times 5 is roughly 160k damage. So that is pretty much Arin when it comes to this. After 2 minutes has passed as well, he will get the 100% damage buff on top of it, what he is providing when he is placed down. With his second passive, he is buffing other allies. So what you would do is, in a situation where you are using this unit, you would place down your starting unit, being like Ackerman, and then you would place down an Arin to buff Ackerman, and then after you have kind of stabilized your early game, you would start investing into Arin, and then Arin will eventually end up buffing himself after the 2 minutes, meaning he'll go up to 68.86k, which is pretty good. And then alongside that, you can do stuff like placing down Ymir for the 40% damage buff there, and then we can place down a Zeke for a 60% damage buff, so he's up to 3 times damage now. And then we can place down another Ymir and sell her for 100 times damage buff. So now he is at a 4 times damage buff on all 3 of his placements, and all of them are doing 135k damage every 7.1 seconds. So as you can see, it can stack up pretty decent even without being a monarch. But let's quickly go ahead and check out his monarch stats before looking at his rumbling ability. Okay, so quickly going over Arin's monarch damage. If we go ahead and place him down, he'll be at 34.9k damage. Max upgrading him will bring him to 135.7k damage. If I have to be honest, the damage is not the greatest for being a monarch unit at max upgrade, being nearly like 200k to max out. And the other thing to keep in mind is this second passive doesn't actually work if you only have one Arin placed, because what he does is he doesn't buff himself after the 2 minutes, he buffs the other placements. So you want to have multiple placements to be able to use the sick passive. So if there is anything here that actually works with monarch Arin, it's about him buffing other units and then the Harbinger of Doom. That's pretty much all his passive is, being a monarch unit. But we can go ahead and buff him up a little bit more with Zeke, giving him 60% damage, and then Ymir with 40% damage. Him going up to 2 times damage brings him to 271k damage. If you were to sell Ymir, he would go up to 2.6 times damage, and if I had another placement of Ymir, we could bring that up to 3 times damage, but 352k damage at 2.6, and then around 3 times damage, it's roughly 407,000, I believe. So yeah, that is monarch Arin's damage. And of course, for the last thing that we need to go ahead and look at, and that is the rumbling ability that he has. So for the rumbling, it does 20 million damage and 35% max HP damage to all enemies it crosses. This requires a maxed out Arin. It requires a maxed out Giant Queen Founder, so an evolved maxed out Ymir. We also require a maxed Zeke. This just needs to be on the map. It does not need to be within his range. And once you do that, this removes one placement limit from all 3 of these units because it does consume these units as well. So let's go ahead and spawn a high HP boss, and let me go ahead and pop the rumbling. This is a local cooldown, so if you do basically place down another 3 of these units and max upgrade them, you can instantly pop another rumbling. We are just showcasing one. So when it comes to the damage of this rumbling, the colossal titans themselves don't actually deal any damage. It's when the attack titan himself reaches the enemies, this is where the damage comes through. It's like roughly around the start of this ribcage. So as you can see there, I kind of walked away, but Vegeta did die because he did get to Arin, and Arin will just walk through and deal a bunch of damage until, you know, it goes away. So yeah, that is pretty much Arin's showcase. Now, the last quick thing that I do want to do before I end off this video is kind of showcase the other gem banner units alongside Arin and Ymir. This just shows how strong they can be. So when you come to using like someone like Kenny, what you want to do is you first have Kenny placed down. If we want to have like him be buffed out a little bit more, we can now place a Ymir down to have 10% cost reduction, and then we have the 40% damage from Ymir. We can also place down an Arin, and we place down a Zeke for an additional buff there. So now our Kenny is at 3.1 times damage, 15k damage. It does require basically the cost of placing all of these units down, but as you can see, he is getting pretty high in damage. We can go even further by placing a Ymir down and selling her, and now he's at 4.1 times damage, 19k damage. If we were to upgrade him slightly, he goes up to 47k. If we were to max him out fully, 134k damage. Pretty good for what's like 60k to upgrade, max upgrade. Pretty good. 21k DPS traitless unit. So next, let's go ahead and basically upgrade both of or the remaining placements of these units, and let's do the same thing. If we were to place down a Zeke, if we were to place down an Arin, place down a Ymir and sell her, we can now go ahead and look at these units damage. So we have Kenny at 115k damage, we have Mikasa at 121k damage, and we have Levi at 134k damage. And then of course for Levi himself, if I were to put in a boss enemy, he'll go up to 148k damage. Pretty good. All right, so now we are going to do the same thing but with Riner, because a lot of people do not like Riner. They think he is pretty bad. So on placement 5.7k, we can now place down a Ymir, we can place down an Arin, and we place down and once we do that, another Riner did spawn because of his passive, but then we can go ahead and place down another Ymir and sell her, and Riner is at 19k damage. If we were to max him out, which with Ymir only costs 55k damage, he is at 82k damage. He is also a 4 placement unit, so if we were to place down every single unit, upgrade all of them, place down another Zeke real quick and another Arin, like so, and then lastly we place a Ymir down and sell Ymir, they are all at 82k damage every 5 seconds. So if we look at all of the DPS altogether, it is around 60k damage. It costs around like 200k to basically max out all Riners, and you aren't needing to upgrade any Zekes or Ymirs or Arins for somewhat decent damage. Okay, and for the final thing, before we end things off, I do want to show one little extra thing with Ymir that I think is pretty cool and what you can do. So if we go ahead and place down a whole bunch of units, basically to do what I did with Zeke earlier, which is max him out with a whole bunch of giants and buff him up pretty good. So we have all of these placement units down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to showcase it in Monarch as well, just because why not? So we place down our Zeke first, we max upgrade him, he's at 198k damage. We go ahead and pop it gigantification Gigantification, he goes up to 533 damage. Now we place down our Ymir, go ahead and do that, and we can max upgrade her. She will go up to 542k damage. Very strong. After this Gigantification goes away, she will keep this damage as well, which is pretty nice. But Gigantification has gone away, as you can see, 542k damage. Now the only downside to this, right, is if we go past 13 waves because of Zeke's last passive, 13 waves pass, Ymir does actually lose that buff. Basically, you just need to max upgrade another Zeke and use his ability again, which it should be lower cooldown than what this is. I'm just skipped past a lot of waves. So yeah, that is kind of a cool thing that you can do with Ymir. So with that, we are going to be ending off this showcase here. Hopefully I have enlightened you a little bit more on these units and showing how powerful they are. I might do some showcases of me completing some stages with the Attack on Titan units, but yeah, appreciate it if you have watched this far through the video. See ya.